Hey everybody, it's CryptoBirb, Adrian speaking, and welcome to another show, another trading broadcast of our 14-day free trading congress. It's day 8. It's been 8 days since we ever started that 500k celebration, coming from 500,000 followers on Twitter. This is pretty milestone, pretty big, heavy milestone, and I've always wanted guys to celebrate every single big milestone I have with you, and that is the exact reason why we have the legend with us today. That we have Big Chats, huge fan of his work. I'm a huge fan of his work, huge respect for his technical analysis skills. And I want you guys to get ready because what you're going to find out is going to perhaps add and hopefully add a lot of value, a lot of understanding about the technical analysis principles and reveal tiny bit of secrets magic spoiled by Big Cheds himself. And if you guys are ready for the show, make sure you stay tuned because we're going there right in a moment. Big Chats, everybody, is in the house. My good friend, best-selling author, as I read on bio Twitter, best-selling author, trading wisdom on Amazon. This has been amazing journey that ever since we got to know each other. Also, what connected me and Chats was the CMT, was the Charter Market Technician path, and well, huge respect for my today's guest, ladies and gentlemen. Big Chats, how is it going, buddy? What's good?
I'm doing really well. First of all, folks, hit that like, hit subscribe. It's not often you see this kind of content put out there for free. Birb, I love what you do. We definitely, we poke at each other, but that's because I admire what you do. You work really hard. You are CMT, and that's something that you do
I'm
when you're
not yet.
serious. Well, I
Not
mean, but
yet.
you're on
Not
that
yet.
path. You're level 2. You've done 2 exams, and you take it seriously. So it's not something you're doing casually. And with an account of your size, I think it's a favor you're doing to your followers to learn as much as you can. It gives you more to pass on. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
You mentioned a legend. I'm still looking around for a legend. I haven't seen any legends around here. I'm just a guy who enjoys, doing what I do. And you said, 500k celebration. Hopefully by the end of this video, we'll get you up to 600k followers because you're growing so fast, man.
That would be that would be hard to do, but I appreciate your kind words.
Of course.
But it goes both ways, man. I mean, as I said, I have got huge respect for you because there are not many chartists, there are not many technical analysis artists that I truly admire, and you're one of them. And as you said, we keep poking each other, but this is for fun. This is because we are friends. This is because we respect each other. Many people think it's serious, but it's kind of not. I mean, we are making those good bets, those good deals for good purposes, for charity and whatnot. But what matters the most is that we are friends in it and that we are there to support each other, be it on the technical analysis side, be it on the influential side as well, because you are talking about influence, like as if I was the only one in the room who is, strong following account. And you yourself have 154,000 people, more than 154,000 people following you. This is pretty big, massive growth I've seen in the past months for you. Congratulations! Like, what's your secret?
Well, I really appreciate that. I don't have a life really. No, people ask me when I sleep. I really tweet like 17 hours a day because it's fun. It's a job, but it's fun, and it's my niche. Like I've found a nice space for myself where I try to do academic observations. If it's bullish, I tweet it's bullish. If it's bearish, I'll tweet it's bearish. But I do a lot of psychology stuff for me too. I think a lot about like the trader mentality. Like I got wrecked so many times over the years that it's just like I don't want to do that anymore. And that kind of formed the basis of my teaching style, my whole helping new traders to avoid my old mistakes, which is like the beginnings of my blog, which led to my book. And it resonated with people. And my psychology background helped me kind of formulate some of those ideas. And this, that like when you're helping people, it feels really cool. And you get that feedback and people are like, man, you've helped me. That makes you want to keep going. So it's been that cycle that's kind of fed itself. And I've just been blessed. I love what I'm doing. I'm just really happy to be part of this ecosystem. And it's hard work, but it's just luck and timing as well, among other things.
hmm Yeah, I think in case there are some connections disruptions, don't worry about that. We cover for it. I think
Cool.
if the internet is breaking up a little bit, that's some sort of like natural, because apparently the network is not ready for the amount of knowledge into technical analysis
No doubt, no
points
doubt.
you're going to make in here. But listen,
Yeah.
I want to head you straight forward with the question, man. I mean, so many people disbelieve technical analysis works at all, that this is just a squiggle lines, that it's some large BS that they would sell you in the newspaper, that just make it look fancy, that it's not really a job. What is it? Is it art? Is it actual profession? How do you take it?
I've had this debate with one of my really good friends for like the last 7 years. And so I've been trying to debate him and he's never convinced. But like over the years, I've gotten a little sharper in how I've described things. And really, if you can explain it to people, it's trend analysis. It's identifying a trend and then identifying the strength of the trend and then identifying kind of levels in the chart, which would suggest either that trend is strengthening or weakening. So you can simplify it, right? There are trends. People understand what trends are. That's not like voodoo magic. You identify a trend, and then you identify a pivot point, and the pivot point is based on a supply and demand level. So technical analysis is a look back. It's a historical look back at data, and it's there. It's a fact. It's not a debate about what the Mount Gox is going to do to the price. It's not a debate about what the ETF is going to do to the price. It's what's already happened. These are data points. It's a trend analysis. And so there's something there. So there can be a debate about how much value it has, but there can be no debate over that, it adds no value. And that's kind of how I would describe it.
Yeah, I think I couldn't agree more with that. Funny thing is, while getting my hands on the CMT2 levels, and soon, actually, in about a couple of days, I'm going to start preparations for CMT3. There's insane amount of knowledge with regards to the actual academic confirmation, academic papers, academic research, and
Yeah,
a financial research confirming technical analysis can be actual source, or proper application of technical analysis can be source of excessive returns. It tells
right.
you that basically that technical analysis works. It does deny that, many people would deny that trends exist at all, right?
Hmm,
There's like this random walk theory
I
that the
see.
prices
Right.
are independent. And, people would expect that, one day an Apple stock can trade at $1,000, the other day it can trade at 0.1 or 5 cents, and then the day three can trade at 15,000, and that there's completely no correlation, completely no sequence in that. But apparently, it's not really true, because the bull markets exist, the bear markets exist. There are times that
Yeah,
markets perform better altogether, and there are times that
yeah,
markets perform worse altogether. So
right.
it is out of question that technical analysis exists and it works. And if you can use it properly, and the properly is the emphasis here, then, well, this can be source of money. And this is what we prove in here. And like, would you agree that this is also some sort of like an art, because it's subjective? Is it subjective? Is it objective? How do you
It's
take it?
it's it's incredibly both subjective and objective, but it's like martial arts. Like martial arts, there's so many different sub styles of martial arts, and there are just people who just trade off an Ichimoku cloud. There's people who are just Fibonacci traders. There's folks who don't even use volume for their candlesticks. There's folks who only use volume. There's just a lot of ways to do it, which is cool. And so what I always tell people is, when I'm doing my teaching stuff, and I'm sure you have a similar approach when you teach, is you tell people like, here's my style. It doesn't have to be your style, but hopefully you can learn something from me to apply to your method. So there's certainly an art form for your method. And a lot of that comes down to your time horizon, whether you're a flipper, a long trader, and your style, your risk tolerance. So there's different styles that will fit people's personalities and their kind of risk profile, their risk tolerance. So it's definitely an art form, but like there's things that are objective, price levels, supply and demand levels, primary trends. Like these are things that are objective in my opinion. Well, if
Okay.
I say my
So,
opinion,
so
that makes it
how?
subjective, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you kind of like auto-corrected yourself there. That's pretty crazy. No, listen, I agree. I agree. I mean, the main problem I see about the technical analysis is that it is so subjective. Like, if it only was this simple, that you see a single level and you would see probably like 50,000 different opinions whether or not it's bullish or not, right? Of course, you can tell there are two, but people would take it like a short and bearish, short and bullish, whatever, different, like. cases you can imply. But the truth is, again, it's very subjective. Many people see, head and shoulders. Many people see triangles, and they
Yeah.
they rename it. It's very hard to identify, which is very interesting because this is also sourced to a lot of technological advancement for the softwares that traders use. Right? There are
Yeah.
certain softwares that traders would use based on a computer, like computational power and AI, artificial intelligence, that would try to recognize the patterns. So the same way you have, for example, like face unlocks. How do you call that? Like this face unlock in your iPhone, or these, like the cameras unlock, the phones unlock with your
Yeah.
face. This is
Yeah.
this is a pattern recognition. This is
Right.
artificial intelligence, AI machine. Um, Trying to kind of like understand the chart pattern, well, the pattern that you have in your face, right, so that it doesn't unlock, and keep it objective when somebody else just looks
But
in a
Barb,
chart and in a phone. Yeah,
isn't the thing that's always missing is the context, right? Because like there's a signal and then there's the context of that signal. So like when people post
exactly.
a phone chart with like 10 candles, maybe that looks great, but you need to zoom out and see that in relation to prior consolidation clusters, and you know what I'm saying. So it's all context.
100%. Yeah, you always, like, for the patterns, like what I found, this is definitely more real than not, is that it's not the pattern alone that is bullish or bearish. I mean, you also have some certain like numbers perhaps to back it up, like like Bukowski did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still about the context that matters. You can have head and shoulders that people would read it's bearish, but it's going to work as a continuation pattern when a trend upwards is strong, right?
Yeah.
So it's not really the pattern, but more of its context. And speaking of that,
Yeah.
like, while being to identify certain patterns, trends, the technical analysis can be used as an edge, but it has its own strengths and weaknesses. Strengths and weaknesses. What kind of strengths and weaknesses you can tell on your end for the TA part?
In what sense? In terms of, do you mind, what do you mean exactly?
Well, so what I mean is that the technical analysis can be strength because, well, if you read the trends correctly, you can earn your money. But at the same time, the weakness is it's very subjective, right? Not
Yeah.
every single chart pattern for head and shoulders is going to look exactly the same. You have different disruptions around the pattern. You
Okay.
have different like
Yep.
variations over these patterns. So,
Yep.
what kind of like strengths or weaknesses perhaps you can name for the technical analysis that you use as a professional chartist?
So it's like that's the thing. There's confidence levels, right? So for like to answer your question, hopefully directly, like what's a diagonal line worth versus a horizontal line, right? A horizontal line is much less subjective, and it depends how granular you want to get. If you want to talk about head and shoulders, you can talk about the height of the left shoulder versus the right shoulder, and if that gives you information, you can talk about the neck baseline, if it's flat, if it's ascending or descending, right? There's all these it's either 2% better or 2% worse. It depends how granular you want to get. And for most people, that's not going to help you. You're going to get overwhelmed with information. You're probably going to have too much information. So, that's why we tell people, and that's why CNP talks about, horizontal lines, focus on key horizontal levels, supply and demand. um, you know, some oftentimes less is more. You see all these charts and there's memes. I think I've seen you post one where it's like, here, clear chart, there's like 1,000 lines on it and it's crisscrossed. you know
Yeah.
a- Simpler is better, right? If you find you're having too much trouble, you're probably doing too much. Take away a couple moving averages. You don't need RSI and stochastics, RSI, stuff like that. Simplify your method and then build up from there. That's what I would say.
Whoa. That is some alpha, everybody. I mean, listen, I think it's out of question that the messier chart you get, the more lines, the more squiggles, the more indicators you put, the messier information you get out of this.
Yeah.
Well, in the technical analysis and trading, it's all about the simplicity. And as a matter of fact, if you go ahead and like type in your Twitter, like search bar for the CMTs, for charter market technicians, for people who are accredited for the technical knowledge, you're not going to find 5,000 indicators. They
Nope.
use one or two moving averages and clean charts and two levels, and that's it. The charts are super
100%.
clean,
Yeah.
right? And that's my point. And well,
Yeah.
it's just simplicity that is the actual key. And speaking of simplicity, and speaking of perhaps more practical usability of those charts, I want to get you a couple of chances to perhaps show off your best charts you have, like the three best charts, three favorite charts
Yeah.
you would have in your mind. Can you play them? Can you tell us a little bit more about
Yeah.
them?
I mean, sure. I'm happy to, if you want. Do you want me to mention them? Do you want me to show you a little bit? What would you like to do?
Yeah, you can just, well, if you have those three ready.
I do.
If
Just go
not, then
ahead
you
and,
can just,
you know, throw up the screen.
it's on.
That's Bitcoin,
It's
of
on.
course. So I kind of pulled up some altcoins. So you want to think about relative strength, the concept of, when the market's moving, what are the strongest participants? Identify them. And then when the market flushes, you want to those are the ones you want to play. So I think I selected a few just to be ready ahead of time. I had like Sol, Luna, ETH, AVAX, like FTM, for example. We'll start with AVAX, right? So AVAX has been kind of the belle of the ball. It's been one of the strongest ones recently. And there's a really simple concept. It's called a throwback. It's a bullish retest. So it's something you've talked about, I'm sure, many times. You have a level and you take that level, and when the price is able to, it's initially rejected, maybe comes back, it breaks up above it. You either want to buy the breakout, but if you miss the breakout, you want to come back and buy that retest, right? That bullish retest, that throwback. And we see that on a lot of these bullish charts, what they'll do is they'll stair step. They'll kind of come up, they'll come back, bounce off of that, they'll come back, they'll come up, bounce back of that. If you're looking what's happening, it's just bouncing off
Mm.
those prior levels, right? Steady consolidation. So AVAX, I missed it, right? Everyone's like, oh, I missed it. Yesterday, you could have bought it at like 92, 93, 94, 95 with reasonable confidence. Because not only were you buying, talking about like a throwback, right, on a horizontal, not only were you buying at like a prior high, but you were also buying at kind of a rising moving average, right? 8 EMA exponential moving average, more price weight. So an exponential moving average, more price weight is given to the most recent candle. It's more sensitive. That's why I use them for lower term moving averages, 8 and 34. Some people use them for 50 and 200. Not my style. I think it's mostly better for short term. But in any case, when you have a strong uptrend, it usually will respect the 8 EMA. So you had really a really nice setup where you had what's called a confluence, a bullish confluence. You had a combining of factors. You had a throwback to a horizontal and a rising moving average support. So you want to identify a chart that you want to buy in a dip, right? Your whole job as a chart technician is to identify trends and to buy dips in those uptrends. You want to get on that train, but you don't want to chase it. It's not about the FOMO. It's about buying in a little bit of panic. So there's what you did with AVAX. You had a couple chances here, especially yesterday when everyone was freaking out and everyone's thinking we're going to 53. We may go to 53. I don't know. But in that moment of panic, when Bitcoin's breaking below the 50 MA on the daily, AVAX, you target AVAX, right? And I was talking about Sol earlier, right? Sol kind of had that ascending triangle breakout. It didn't quite reach that measured move. I think it was like, around 310 or 315, taking the height of the triangle. But if you simplify Sol, your first entry would have been again on the throwback. And the price nicely respected that, right? It nicely respected that here, respected that here. And it looked like even with this doji, right, on the 17th, it looked like it might have been rallying there, right? You look at candle body size. You always look at candle body size, right? You have the big red candle and then the doji. And you're thinking, okay, maybe I'm getting some slowing of bear force here. Maybe this is a nice spot. And then, you had the bear continuation. Where did the bear continuation take you to? That rising moving average support. Strong trends will respect that 50 moving average support, right? You've seen it in a lot of them. Uni was doing it, like earlier in the year. It's terrible now, but when it was strong, Uni was using it. Bitcoin, it's a very important moving average. It's a simple moving average. Each candle is equal weighting. Look at that, 50 MA, right? We're getting that rally right at the moving average, the 50 period moving average. So, what you could have done initially, you try to buy here. You want to think about how you define your risk, right? Birb, you want to think about how you define your risk. And it's okay to try at different levels as long as you, in my opinion, you cut your risk at that level. So say you tried at like 215 and that play failed. You said, I'm going to define my risk as the bottom of this doji here, right? December the 17th, a couple of days ago. So maybe you tried here, you cut there, and then you bought back in at MA50, right? You're giving yourself a chance to try that next tier down. It's still a logical thesis, right? It's not just buying in the middle of the channel, it's buying at moving average support, right? So we talked about AVAX, we talked about Sol. Those are kind of examples of buying dips and uptrends, identifying relative strength, and kind of deploying your capital in that direction. What you want to do is deploy your capital in the direction of relative strength, right? How about Ethereum, right? Ethereum 4,000, right? Prior highs. Boom, we got the macro lower high for Ethereum. What's macro? It means big picture. Set your initial high in May. You came down, set your lower high in September 5th. And I talked about this. I think I talked about this on Twitter and other places when Ethereum really started to take off here at, kind of the end of October. It got me a little bit more cautious on Bitcoin. We talk about, Bitcoin and then Ethereum and then Litecoin, kind of that market cycle. And Ethereum gave you a really nice clean entry. Boom, right there. The low of yesterday was 39.58. I mean, you have that level targeted, right? Even when the price Birb is at 4,800, you have your low ball bid set. You want to buy a flash dip. You want to buy a crash dip. You want to buy the crash dip into strength, right? You're not trying to buy EOS here, right? You're not trying to buy some of these underperforming alts that haven't even broken above their May highs yet, right? That's what you want to focus on when you're in that situation. You want to buy levels that have been established in uptrends, levels that have been flipped, prior resistance levels flipped into support, right? That's what you want to focus on. That's Ethereum. We talked about AVAX. We talked about Sol. Let's just kind of move on here. What else can we talk about? Luna, right? We think about moving that.
I would think,
Go
I
ahead.
would expect you would pull out like a Litecoin chart. It started with L, and I was expecting Litecoin. People are asking about
for what?
Litecoin in the comments.
Well,
The
me and you,
Litecoin, the Litecoin.
I'll do Litecoin, dude. I lost you. I can't see you for some reason, but we've seen it differently. And for me, I don't see the strength you see, but then I don't feel comfortable disagreeing with you. It's that's like the voice back in my head, like, maybe he knows something. But here's what I say: it's not the best, but it's not the worst, but it's not the best. There's, you focus on relative strength. There's so many better things to play. Look at this, Birb MA200 flattening out, price is going down. We're not looking at raw strength here, right? Here's our May high. We're below the May high. That's the delineation for altcoins. Are they above or below the May high? Litecoin's below. It's doing the pullback, the bearish retest. So, I mean, I love Litecoin. I mean, don't get me wrong. I remember buying it. When I was diagnosed with cancer, I was buying Litecoin at 70. And I was in a tough spot financially, but I was finding a way to buy Litecoin at 70. And I wrote it up, and it's a fun one to play. You get great gains on it. But strength, right? Where's relative strength? So, I mean, I'm curious to hear your base case, and you definitely know what you're talking about. But for me, there's stronger things, and that's where I'm coming at with Litecoin, plus the market cycles. Every major top, Bitcoin, then Ethereum, then Litecoin. I see Litecoin running. I'm taking profit in my Bitcoin longs. So
Yeah.
those are my thoughts.
Yeah, listen, I'm smiling a lot because it's become a meme already how we fight over Litecoin. that is I mean, I love to continue that meme going on. This is pretty
Definitely.
funny. Like the way I look at it, like having your
Yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
is just I identify, like, first of all, what kind of trend that is, right? And
Okay.
that this trend to me is neutral. It's sideways, right? It's going sideways.
Yeah.
You can see some sort of like contracting consolidation per like a
Yeah.
triangle form, whatever you name that. Again,
Sure.
you can tell there is a sequence of highs and lows that are contracting towards some form of an apex, which is not really visible exactly, right? And regardless what kind of, like, again, chart pattern that is, well, this is not the trend. This is not the trend per se. Well, this is some sort of like sideways horizontal movement, which many people, many professionals and ex-floor traders would not even dare calling a trend, because they call the trends only in upwards movements and downwards movements, which move in some sort of like a sequence, which is repetitive. And here, the sideways is all about the madness. It's all about chaos. It's all about lack of strength, lack of momentum. So it's pretty natural, and hence not disqualifying this pattern from being, bullish or bearish. If you see certain levels just go through, and you draw the rectangle out there right in the middle, right? Those two
Yeah.
levels, this zone. So to me, it's not necessarily bearish that Litecoin has reverted there, right?
Okay.
The bearish it would be if it started trending down below, like, what is that, $100? That is the time
Yeah.
scope that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
That is the time scope that you see in the chart that actually shows you this some sort of like a sideways pattern. And in the sideways, it's very natural because it's lacking the strength, because it's sideways. It doesn't really have continuity in either direction. It's very natural to see the price kind of like, mingling back and forth, dancing back and forth, certain levels without too much respect. And being bearish or bullish inside its sideways continuation pattern, usually, or well, to me, it's looking like a continuation because there's a prior strong trend before. But to me, it's kind of like a bit far fetched, a bit over far fetched. The pattern is neutral. The context is what's making it bearish or bullish, and the context to me is bullish because there is a strong upwards trend ever since the COVID crash started. So that is the way I look at it. Funnily enough.
But why Litecoin? Like you've got limited funds, you got limited time, mental energy, right? It's like why Litecoin when there are stronger market participants? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I tell you what, I mean, I like Litecoin first of all because of the sentiment I have towards it.
Yeah.
There is certain some sort of like I think you call that in the behavioral finance, you call that endowment effect when you're somehow endowed to a position, not basically because well because you are married to your bags. I still I'm going to leave all the like 80% of the out of the money out of the crypto like pretty much in the next 2 to 3 months most likely. But it's I hate Ripple. I don't care. I don't care what many people say about that. I hate it. I mean, I had in the past a couple of rallies in it.
Yeah. Do
The,
you
the
hate it or
trades
you love
open.
hate it? Do you hate it or you love hate
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it needs it will go down. For example, that just means I'm not really feeling good about trading it. On the contrary, I'm feeling
Yeah.
good about being positioned in Litecoin. You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of like
Yeah.
some sort of like this attachment. But as long as you control this attachment, as long as you're aware of it,
Yeah.
I think it can also be, a source of money to you. So that is my point. And at the same time, before, so that it doesn't kind of like flip, so that you're interviewing me here.
No.
So it's not your Congress. Don't forget about that.
All right. Okay.
Let's pull off yours. Let's pull off yours. By the way, when you break like 200,000 or something.
All right. Okay.
By the way,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
By the way, guys. Kind suggestion. In the meantime, make sure you actually go ahead and follow Cheds on Twitter. BigCheds. You want to be following this guy on Twitter. I promise to you, it's like 100% worth it. I love this dude. And if you play Litecoin versus BTC chart, if you have an option to do it,
Yeah. No problem.
then Litecoin versus BTC is actually showing to you something that is unquestionable weakness. But it's
Yeah.
unquestionable weakness that has been going on for
Long
2
time.
years, I believe.
Yeah.
Right, and that is what also attracts me. The sentiment is so bearish about it. Litecoin is, people see Litecoin as piece of shit, pretty much, like that it's
Yeah.
useless. Same way that people felt about Bitcoin when it was trading $3,000-$4,000, right? So
But
I
isn't
have
the
the
market
same
smart?
vibes.
Isn't the market smart? Like but aren't you arguing with the market though? Right? Because isn't the market factor everything in?
Well, I do go outside the charts as well, right? So the charts, I use charts as my main leading tool, but I go out to the sentiment, I go out to the fundamentals, I go out to the on-chain. On-chain has been cooking up and has been boiling up like more than for Ethereum before Evergrande just recently hit. I didn't check the Litecoin's on-chain ever since, but there's so much of the counterintuitive like suggestions for me to position myself in Litecoin. Just like I said, extremely bearish sentiment. The same way that people were calling me idiot for loading lows on 30,000s or 40,000s. They were calling me idiot for buying Litecoin. So this is one of the main indicators. You see Litecoin BTC,
Yeah.
which is at extreme lows, at all-time lows, and Litecoin is still 50% off the highs of its
Yep.
all-time highs. Well, to me, it's a good buying opportunity because it's simply cheap. It's in the lower part of the screen. I consider that cheap, and that's it. It's in the lower
Right.
part range of the interest.
Well, it's also one of the ones, maybe if I could help your argument, it's one of the ones that it's easiest for people to get access to. It's kind of traded everywhere. I think
Yeah.
that's one that you want to argue, for maybe trading it. I just think the market, the chart's gonna tell you when momentum's shifting, and far be it for me to question your method because you're doing amazing, like no doubt. But I feel like you're gonna get a signal. The market's gonna tell you. And I guess for me, it would be all right, back up above the May high, back maybe especially above this Walmart high. Then I can start to structure my risk based on that level. It's kind of choppy in here. And maybe I want to buy in this rising diagonal. I want to buy in kind of the throwback to the MA 200. That would also be a reasonable, spot to kind of structure my risk because that's what we're doing is how are you structuring your risk? What's the thesis? And when are you going to define when that thesis fails, right? So I think those are the things you want to keep in mind.
Yeah. But at the same time, think about it. Like the moment you see the sideways thing going on, right? It's not really actual trend. So you naturally should not somehow expect the same strength at certain levels. It's at certain like ascending momentum, as if you were seeing that in an ascending trend, in an upwards trend. So if you can expect supports to be held more often than not when the trend is going upwards, because
Right.
when it's going sideways, it's clearly by definition lacking the strength. So you could
Yeah.
expect the bridging up and forth, back and forth, upwards and downwards, mingling somewhere in the middle. And that is like, I hate rate trading, to be honest. Like for the range trading, I think it's
Yeah.
best to buy the lows and sell the highs if you're a range trader, or just simply
Mm.
avoid trading it, and that's it. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the best tips you can get. Listen, I think you have the Litecoin chart playing. So tell me,
Yeah.
like what would make you bullish on it? What is how you would trade Litecoin at all? How you trade it?
So first of all, I think the market environment would have to be right. I think if we're in the moment, we think about when do you want to play altcoins? I think you want to play altcoins when Bitcoin's stable, and ideally maybe stable with a slight upward grind. I think that's kind of the ideal environment. Depending on what Bitcoin does right now, and I'll just quickly set the table with where we're at on Bitcoin. Depending on what Bitcoin does, we're looking at a potential, a little rally here off the MA50, and we'll see what it does, on the 60K underside test maybe. But if Bitcoin can chop sideways for a little bit, then I'd say, okay, maybe I'll play Litecoin, and then but I want to play Litecoin if Ethereum's also bouncing, if if it's the right environment, if Sol's bouncing, if AVAX is bouncing, so I want the right environment. But then I want to see that price interaction with key support and resistance. I want to see momentum. I want to see bulls back up above the Walmart high. I want to see the price back up above that 8 EMA, right? We can simplify it. When it dropped and it tried to bounce, maybe I want to see it right back above that level. Then I can structure my trade on that level. People always say, are you going long or you go short? I asked them, well, what's your thesis? Why? What's the level? How are you going to define it? So I'd say, okay, if it's above
How dare you
235,
question? How dare you question my stupidity? That's what the answer should be.
yeah.
Like
Uh,
people get
I don't,
aggressive.
but
Yeah.
I don't blame people, man. We've been there, right? And I don't blame people.
Yeah.
It's like trading's so complicated, and what it makes you want to do is throw up your hands and say, none of it makes sense. It's all voodoo. And then we get hero worship, and we want people to tell us. And we want to find someone who we think knows everything. And so we can just follow them. But guess what? They don't know anything. I don't know anything.
Hmm.
You don't know anything. We have educated guesses that are maybe a little
That's
bit more
it.
educated than someone else. That's it, right? So
That's it.
the secret, the alpha, don't tell anyone, is to define your risk. And if you define your risk,
Yeah.
you can stay in the game and keep trading, maybe get a little bit better, and then, maybe you'll have some fun one day. So Litecoin back up above, 235. I could see going long there. You go above 235, we extend this horizontal over. Look at that. Where does that make? Where does that reach? Boom. That Walmart high. So you're kind of, it's a logical, I love that word. It's a lot. That would be a logical level to go long. So there you go. 235 Birb. I could go long there.
So have a look. So have a look. You're playing this zone right now, right? Let's
Yeah.
debate over that. By the way, I can
Yeah.
see in the comments people love us debating about Litecoin. This is crazy. This is
Let's
just,
keep it going. Let's keep it going.
it's nuts, man. It's nuts.
That's funny.
Listen, I heard everybody. I had the deal with Cheds before we
Yeah.
hopped on the show that if you put in the comments that say Cheds pump BDC, now every now and then, a couple of times, the chats is going by, buy and pump BDC for us
I'm on it.
single-handedly.
I'm on it.
Do it. Put it in the questions. Chats pump
Oh
BDC.
man.
Do it, guys. This is pretty crazy. And by the way, while we are at it, before
Yeah.
we like get to the final rationale about Litecoin, I
Okay.
want to remind everybody that every single show on our 14-day free trading congress that we are playing, and this very one as well, you have a special giveaway which is going on, a special giveaway that you have access to with the link in the description to this video. If you're watching that on YouTube, or if you're not watching that on YouTube, straight away rush over to our YouTube, and in the video description to this show, you're going to find a link for the giveaway. And in the giveaway, my great friend Chats got 10 copies of Trading Wisdom 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know. 10 copies of his book that he's holding right now like near the screen. Listen, 10 copies of amazing quality book. And I keep repeating, it's not money that matters, it's the knowledge that you can buy with that, right? And this is like unquestionable. This is out of question. This book is going to literally print you so much more money than if you ever did just by, you know, not having this book. So you want to take part in the giveaway, make sure, guys, you smash the like, hit the subscribe button as well, leave comments and questions for Cheds, and take part in the giveaway video. Description has the link, and go for it. You want to get these books, everybody. And very quick, what do you think? Like, you have the zone in there marked. Doesn't
Okay.
it place it like in the middle, in the very mid range of the past range? Let's say that is the 300 and the, what is that, 200s?
Yeah.
The very recent high and low.
So, you know, May highs, right? I said it earlier. I've been talking about it on Bitcoin Live. Like, you want to try to play the altcoins that are above the May highs. So what is the May high? When the price dropped in April violently, you had kind of that dead cat bounce. You had that kind of mean reversion, that relief rally, and it set that high. And that's around 220, 225. We're right at it. We're actually just below it right now. So for me to play an altcoin, I'm not touching anything really that's below its May high, because I want to throw my funds towards relative strength. So just to even be in the conversation, for me, you know, it's above the May high. And then here we have this higher high, really, you know, from September 6th. So maybe, you know, slide it up to that level right there. And then we get the Walmart high. So I can see charts are so confusing. So take what it's giving you, right? And look for the most well-defined levels. And this is a pretty well-defined level, right around, you know, 230 to 235, in my opinion. It's a reasonably well-defined level of supply, of resistance, right? So if you can recapture that level and flip it, that's momentum. And so what we said earlier, your job as a technician, and why TA is not voodoo, TA is real, because you identify the trend and then you identify where that trend will strengthen or weakness. And so for my eyes, it would be this level. And you could just see why the price is telling you that. So listen to the price. And if it's above that level, I can get interested. Below it, I can watch it, but I'd rather play AVAX in the throwback. I'd rather play DOT. I'd rather play Luna, right? I play these other things, you know? Yeah, I'm
Play the chart.
sentimental.
Play the chart
Is that?
for AVAX. Play the chart for AVAX.
Yeah.
Let's see
Did I
how
do
you
that?
trade it. How you trade it.
Yeah, I did it earlier. I mentioned AVAX earlier. We had a really clear horizontal right at 195. Not only that, it's a psychological level. So when you look at when the price is lining up, not only with, you know, where the candle wick really, or a series of candle wicks, or kind of a consolidation cluster, but if it also corresponds with a key psychological level. Like, we're humans, we're emotional creatures, we're all usually pretty dumb. So when we find things that are simple and help us, 100, right? Plus or minus 100, that's your risk. So when you have a key level, you know, key horizontal level at a key psychological level, that's a nice trade setup. What does that mean? You're watching it yesterday, in all the bloodshed, and let's say you're just watching it yesterday. We're looking at this candle. Let's go to a little lower time frame. We're just watching it yesterday and you're like, oh man, we're below 100. And you say, okay, we're below 100. I'm afraid. But if we could back up 100 above it, I can go long again. You know, so you kind of set a level that would kind of suggest that momentum, like I said earlier, is kind of coming back in the direction you want it to be. So you can watch it. It's below 100. You're freaking out. You know, here in the 1 hour chart, it starts to bounce. And yes, this is choppy. This is very choppy price action. Maybe you kind of go ahead and draw that. You look at this and your second level filter, not only your diagonal break, right? You kind of watch your diagonal break to get you to watch for the horizontal breaks. So then boom, you're going long at 104, just based on the
Can
1
you
hour
play the
chart.
weekly chart? Can you play the weekly chart for a moment?
Yeah.
Just want
I
to
mean,
see
look
the
at that.
context. It's a sick, right? So see this.
Yeah.
So here's the catch.
Okay.
It's at the all-time highs, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty much at the all-time highs, which is
Sure.
very good. So it
Yeah.
means it's trending upwards, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to like debate over it,
Yeah.
not undermine, but just debate. And to let people ask questions somehow in their heads about it.
Yeah.
This is different trend than we have a Litecoin, right? In
A little
Litecoin
bit.
we have a sideways, right? Which is, as we said,
Yeah.
you know, which is vulnerable. You should not expect really the levels to be held so well, and so etc. Here you have a case. This is Litecoin. If this is AVAX, and for AVAX you have the case of a very strong momentum trend, which is going upwards, right?
Yeah.
New highs printed, strong momentum,
Yeah.
straight up.
Trends
So
continue.
doesn't it really mean that this technical trade that you would take on AVAX has immediately, right off the start, better chances of winning versus Litecoin if you play at specific levels like that?
100%. And you think about, let's talk about RSI Birb, right? If I
Yeah.
told you something was climbing in price and it just broke into the power zone, and let's say we define the power zone at 70 instead of say 80, right? If I told you it's breaking into 70, now it's 71 or 72, are you looking for a short or are you looking for a long? You're looking for a long,
I
right? That's a buy
I
signal,
avoid shorts. Don't ask me about shorts. I avoid shorts at all.
right? You want to buy strength, like RSI dipping into the power zone is a buy signal, right? I want to buy RSI 85. It sounds crazy, but I'm buying strength and trends continue. So you want to follow strength, trend continue. However, it doesn't mean you just ape in, right? Doesn't mean you just market buy and then you go to the market and gym and come back and you lost all your money. No, you define your level. You look for a dip to buy, right? So if you're a weekly trader, you're looking here at the EMA 8, right? The green line. You know, if you're in the daily chart, we talked about that throwback to 100, right? You know, if you're really a low ball bidder and you want to wait, which I tend to be, you see, here's a really clearly defined level. So you say, if I get back to 80, I'm buying. And you go right now, for people who are watching, go put a bid, put a limit order for 80 on AVAX. If it fills, you know, like let's say Bitcoin flushes, you know, let's say something happens that we can't predict and boom, Bitcoin flushes and AVAX drops to 80, you're freaking out. Other people are buying there because they're smart. They've identified that level. So find a level to buy that dip in the uptrend, and then the trend will most likely continue. Like, look right here. That's what it did. 50. You know, a lot of people were looking at this setup, right? We had kind of a falling wedge type of action with the confluence with that August high, and then boom, AVAX 50 to 100. So maybe it goes back to 80 and then it goes to 160. Like, who knows?
So the only chances, guys, you get AVAX at $80 is and when Bitcoin crashes, and Bitcoin crashes only when you don't put enough comments. Bitcoin to pump by Cheds pump
That's
Bitcoin.
it.
You put it in
That's
the comments and you'll see
Type it.
Bitcoin pumps. I promise you, that. By the way, there is between 700 and 800 people watching the live, which is pretty good, counting the hours and the traffic. I definitely love everybody who's just joined, for the stream. And make sure, guys, you're very aware. Again, you are part of the 14-day free trading congress that we have had going on for the past 8 days out of 14. 8 days out of 14 have already been gone. So you have about 6 days left to actually participate and join in. This is completely free of any charge whatsoever for free content that is just there, in the public. It's just like a very, very tip on the mountain that you are getting inside the Birb Nest, our educational community. I urge you guys to go and actually take part also in the giveaway for 10 copies of Chad's book, Trading Wisdom: 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know, and I 100% back it. 100% back it. You should get it. There is a giveaway secret code displayed right now in the screen, which says BigCheds. BigCheds, and I heard it boosts your chances if you put in the comment Chats Pump BDC. I think this is going to this is going to get you many more chances. Listen, I think we've been 43 minutes through the show already. There's about 7-8 minutes for us to wrap the show very quick. I want to ask you, with all the wealth of knowledge that you shared, people love it. There's other question. Your TA rules you follow, like your trades, how you base your technical analysis, what tools you use in specific for making your very own trading decisions. Your TA rules, Chats.
So let's see. A lot of my trades honestly are structured based on like a throwback. We talked about that concept earlier. It's a bullish retest, and I say like I want to buy a dip in an uptrend. So like I said, if there's a resistance level that's been established over time, and then by some miracle it breaks, I'm not going to buy up here. It doesn't matter what it's doing, unless maybe it forms an ascending triangle, and then I'll buy the breakout or I'll buy, the rising demand. But I'm waiting for that throwback, that bullish retest. So a lot of my trades are buying a retest, right, of a prior resistance level. So that's how I structure a lot of my trades. Another way is, I try not to bottom fish. I get in so much trouble bottom fishing and trying to guess reversals, but there's moments when you want to do that. Obviously, Bitcoin's in a secular or a long-term uptrend. And you and I had a funny Twitter conversation where I pointed out that 1 hour head and shoulders bull trap. It looked great because it was a good spot to went long. It actually went long here. So we had kind of an inverted head and shoulders forming. We have the shoulder, head, shoulder, and the neck base. And when Bitcoin broke up above, that 56 or 65K level, I went long, right? And then I closed my long when it re-lost that level. So what I do is when there's a clearly marked level and that level is broken, that's a level I can structure my trade on, right? But if it fails, I cut the trade. So that was complicated. What are my rules? If my original trade idea fails, I get out, right? I just get out. I manage my risk and I do not add to losing trades. I've done that. That's how I've had my biggest losers. I can't even tell you. Just don't do it, right? That's why I wrote this book. I made so many stupid mistakes. Do not add to your losers. Add to your winners. Add to momentum, right? You can average. I'd rather average up than average down all day. And I average up when the price confirms a momentum increase. We talked about that earlier. When the price breaks a new resistance level, it confirms the uptrend. So I stick to my trading thesis. If the thesis fails, I get out. That being said, if the thesis fails, but then it becomes revalidated later, I can enter back in based on that level. So that's another thing I do. I try not to look at what too many other people are saying, right? Because it will throw me off guard. I need to trust myself, because if you're trading without confidence, you've got nothing. And if you're trading that shiny object trade, what does that mean? If you're having a tough day and you see on Twitter everyone's talking about whatever they're talking about, CRV or sand, whatever's been super hot, if you chase that without studying the chart, you're screwed, right? You've got to play what you've been watching. Take your watch list, simplify it down to 10 plays, 15 plays, watch those plays, study those plays so you can develop muscle memory. It's all about muscle memory. It's about recognizing strength, recognizing weakness, and then you combine that with your risk management. Your risk management, sticking to your trade thesis, and respecting your money, right? Just because you're up, you made $500 in the last trade, it doesn't mean you can donkey off that $500 in the next trade and break your rules. So respect your money, stick to your trading thesis, cut your losers, add to your winners.
Yeah, I think on top of it, there's always been this one saying, I think, that you had actually just fallen and got, that I loved. I fell in love with that ever since. I heard it, treat your money right or it's going to find a better owner.
Yes.
That's what you say, right?
Treat your money right or we'll find a new owner. It always will.
That is you should guys write it down somewhere. You should write it down, put it on a piece of paper, hang it on your wall. I promise to you, like, that is some very powerful words.
It's the first quote in the book, Birb. It's the first quote in the book under lesson 1, respect your funds. Treat your money right or we'll find a new owner. I mean, that's just,
that is a good
when
opening.
I thought it. It's so true, right? Because look, you're out there, you're taking money from someone else because you bought the dip and the uptrend when they panic sold.
Yeah. That's game theory. The money circulates between actually better owners, right? It's there to find and fluctuate between those who are smarter than you. And your job as a trader, as an analyst, as a trader, is to actually make sure that you are the smarter one that takes the money, right? So having about 5 minutes, 7 minutes more. Let's, if you're okay with that, let's perhaps pick up a couple of questions, chats, for you to answer. Okay.
Absolutely.
And well, after that, we'll need to wrap the show. But before that, again, final reminder: giveaway going on. 10 copies of Trading Wisdom. 10 copies of Trading Wisdom. 50 lessons every day you should know by BigCheds himself, the legend of life. You want to go for it? The link is in the giveaway. In the link to the giveaway is in the description to the video on YouTube. You want to go ahead and actually, just by the occasion, smash the likes and hit the subscribe button in there. And the questions. Emilia is asking, what's most likely to happen with BTC this weekend? What do you think?
I think we see a relief rally. And first of all, I don't like to, I hate predicting because I'm terrible at it. So even if we're going to go to 52K, there's a very decent chance we have a relief rally or a mean reversion bounce here. And why do I think we're going to go up a little bit? I'm paying attention to the fact that we've recaptured this low. So we had our low from October 28th. So you always want to pay attention to when lows are recaptured. I know you've covered this extensively when that 30K low was broken but recaptured. We had that spring. We had the spring, or basically the false bear break right here, right? July 21st. Always pay attention when levels are recaptured. So, I actually, before, earlier today, and I tweeted this out, I took a long when we broke above 56, whatever this low is, 57.6. I took a couple longs there, and that's where I'm defining my risk. And so the question now is, What's the strength of the rally? Obviously, you're going to look to potentially fade the bounce, or maybe take some shorts at 60K. If you flip 60K, you can even open up a new long position at 60K, right? But at 60K, you've got that confluence of the EMA 8. EMA 8 is probably going to flip into resistance short term, maybe even a pullback or a bearish retest of the MA 50. We do have our first close below the MA 50 in a little while, but it's going to bounce first. It's likely to bounce first. And so you think about like I'm not saying this is a downtrend, but anytime the same concept of buying a dip in an uptrend. In a downtrend, you're going to bounce a little bit to reset everything, reset the RSI, reset some of those momentum indicators, and then that potentially might allow another leg down. Not saying that's going to happen, but we're in a moment where we don't know if this is a relief rally or the bottom is in, right? So I'm not going to say no, but I'm saying I will say 60-70%. We should have a little bounce here in the short term. I don't know if it carries through the weekend. I'm not good enough to really predict that far out. But I think we do see a rally here, potentially as high as 59.8, maybe 60K over the next short period of time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Another one. What is BigCheds' favorite altcoin? Hit it straight, buddy.
My favorite altcoin.
It's Litecoin, isn't it?
I love Litecoin. I have the tattoo. Well, I love to hate XRP because it's fun and all that. But trading, like I traded ADA was my favorite one for a while, because it was super duper strong, and it's been kind of just consolidating lately. My go-to has been like Sol. It's like I always want to have one in mind when people ask me like what's strong. Sol's been amazing. Maybe Sol right now or Luna. But I guess Ethereum. Ethereum is my favorite altcoin. It's the strongest altcoin over the longest period of time. It's the one that I feel comfortable hodling. It's the one that I would recommend maybe to my cousin, and I don't want them to get wrecked. I think I would say Ethereum.
Okay, that's it. There is a question which is a bit intriguing, but when alt season come? When does alt season come? Is it coming, do you think, at all?
I think it could be, actually. I've been putting out a series of tweets when Bitcoin was so I went from saying it's altcoin off season to altcoin preseason. This was altcoin off season right here. This was like altcoins. Everyone's like, oh my God, my altcoins are terrible. Then when Ethereum popped, right? I've been centering my analysis in this a lot. Ethereum popped there October 21st. That was like, okay, now it's altcoin preseason. And we may be potentially, solidifying the local top here. There's certainly plenty of debate that can be had over that. The up thrust, maybe a double top or the 53K measured move. Who knows? But if it does drop and consolidate, let's say it does drop to 52, 53K bounce and then kind of go sideways for a while, that'd be a great environment for alt season. So I think there's a better chance than not we're heading towards a favorable climate for altcoins here in the near future, Birb.
Okay, I take it as an answer. There is what else? What else? There is a question. I just wanted to be more specific. There's also a question for what's the code for the giveaway, but that's for me to answer. The code for the giveaway is BigCheds. You want to go and put it in the just like it displays BigCheds. This is the final kind of reminder for everybody to rush over to the video description to this show on YouTube, because that's where you have your giveaway link. And the one and the last from Roberto for you to answer, Cheds. Exit strategy. Do you have any? Do you plan your exit? How does it look?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, what, like, are we talking about like crypto? Are we talking about life? I want to impact. I want to help people out.
I love being specific. I love being specific there as well.
Exit strategy. So yeah, I think, so people often ask me, what's your target? I actually really don't use targets unless there's a clearly defined measured move. I know that's a phrase that you're a fan of, like with Sol, I was talking about Sol, in this ascending triangle with the target of 311. So that's a target. But what I like to do, I follow the trend and I move my stop loss up. So I like to watch for price interaction with key levels. And my exit plan is usually take a little profit as the price approaches a key level, and then watch to see if like a higher low is respected, to watch to see like if support is respected. And I guess maybe more specifically, my exit plan is my thesis. I talked about this earlier. When my trade idea fails, I'm out. That's it. I take the loss. Like I have a quote, another quote I like to say, and it's weird to keep quoting myself, but I think it's a good quote. Um, Refusing to take a small loss will often lead to the opportunity to refuse to take a big loss, right? Take that small loss, right, man. Move on, go shoot hoops, go swimming, hit the exercise bike, and maybe come back if you feel better. Take that small loss. That's my exit strategy. When the trade idea fails, I'm out. I'm not dumb. You're not dumb. You're not a bad person. You're not an idiot. You're not a bad trader. It just didn't work out, right? It's
Mm.
like poker. You made a really nice play, but cards came, didn't work out. It's cool, move on. So your exit strategy is when your trade idea fails, stick to that.
100%. I mean, beautiful words. Everybody, I want to highly suggest you go and follow my buddy Cheds, BigCheds on Twitter. Make sure you actually check the spelling always, because there are going to be many impersonators under my
Yeah.
name, under the name of Cheds, I suppose, as well. You want to go and press the follow button out there. You want to hit it red, press it so many times so that it turns red. You need to follow him. You need to follow him on Twitter 100%. You want to follow also his shows on Bitcoin Live. You want to also follow his shows on Banter, right? And this is something that I think, like, if you are serious about your money, guys, if you are serious about what you do, about your journey as an analyst, as a technical trader, as a trader investor, Chats is one of the best people in the space to keep your eyes on. You want to follow his Twitter. You want to follow whatever this guy is doing. You want to get yourselves copies of the book. 10 copies of the book, Trading Wisdom, 50 Lessons Every Trader Should Know, are available for the giveaway as a special gift for the community to the 14th Free Trading Congress participants. And that's everybody. That is exactly how we are wrapping up the show for tonight. With all that wealth of knowledge said from Chets, I want to appreciate you, Chets, and thank you for coming over, spending this last hour with us. With so many people, about 800 people or more, have been enjoying this stream. If you appreciate it, guys, smash the likes. Go follow Chets one more time. Thank you so much, bro, for coming over. And let's agree that Litecoin will pump.
Litecoin will pump, brother. I appreciate everything you do. Folks, hit subscribe. This is a celebration. We're celebrating you and me and Birb. We're all part of this great community. So let's just keep it going, huh?
I love it. I love it. Go ahead, guys. You want to check what Chats have got for his store, in his store for you on Twitter, everywhere. Chats is the guy. That's all, folks, for tonight. Everybody, Adrian CryptoBirbs has been speaking with you. 14th Free Trading Congress continues with next shows. Go for it. thebirbnest.com/500. You want to not miss out the next days. That's all. God bless. Bye-bye.